Good morning, traders. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a wonderful week. We're going to be looking at how the market is setting up for the next week. It has been mostly sideways. It's been a ranging market, but a ranging market means soon we should get some motive moves, some really good impulsive moves. So we will be looking at that in the next week, what we'll expect to happen in the next week. Right, so let's get started. If you'd like to check out our course, we're starting on the 8th of February. Our next course starts on the 8th of February. You can check the details under the description of all the videos on our channel. If you go to our channel, under the description of each and every video, you can just click on the website there. Then you can book for the course on the website. It is a 10-day course. You get the full recorded course when you purchase the course on the website, and then you can attend live from the 8th until the 18th. So that's 10 days. So you're going to get 10 videos prior to the live course in February. Right, so that's how it works. So that gives you an opportunity to have a view on the course before we start. Right, that is what we're going to be looking at. Let's get started. Before we start, we're going to look at some of the forecasts that we did in the last week. Just specifically in the last week, I'm not going to look at anything before that. Let's start with forecast from the last week, or trade setups from the last week. So this was the forecast on pound New Zealand. We have all been expecting that this one is going to make a move to around this area and then pull back from there. So this is how this has now played out. That is a pound New Zealand, where it has come around this area. Is this the end of the move? Is it going to reverse from here, or we're still going to push a little bit higher from there? So that's what we're going to be watching out as we analyze for the next week. So that is a pound New Zealand. Pound US dollar, we expected that we're going to have a bit of a pullback there and a continuation to the upside. This is how pound US dollar is setting up. We've got a bit of a pullback there, and we're starting we've got a move to the upside. Is that move going to prevail? So we've got that. That was the pullback we're expecting. We've got that. Now, where to next for the pound? It looks like we're still going to push to the upside, still going to have continuation to the upside on pound US dollar. We'll see how what the focus is when we start with the analysis shortly. Right, so this is now pound New Zealand before and after, then it has actually reached the target. You can see that this is where we focused it was going to go. It is now around here. Are we now going to get that pullback on pound New Zealand? That means that we're going to have some strength on the New Zealand. Looks like there's some strength on the New Zealand, hence we're looking for pound New Zealand to push a little bit lower now. So pound AUD also looks like it's going to be looking downside. We're going to look at that. It is not part of the trade setups that we're looking at here. We will look at it when we look at the market analysis shortly. This is you can see here, this is Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, this chart was posted January 9th. That was the second week of January, expecting this to continue to the downside. We have now reached this level. We've now reached around this level on Euro Pound. Let's just have a look here how this one has played out. We have now reached that level. Are we now going to start a move to the upside on Euro Pound? That's the short-term focus. We could be making a three-wave pullback here and continue to the downside, but don't worry about the focus for now. Just showing you what we've expected last week and how the market played out last week. That was Euro Pound. Right, pound US dollar, I've already shown pound US dollar. Now this is the focus for the next week. We're expecting continuation to the upside. We'll show why. That is a pound US dollar pushing to the upside. Audi yen, that is a pullback that we're expecting here, expecting a pullback and then continuation to the upside. That is Audi yen. So we've got the pullback and we're still expecting that as a corrective structure. You'll see that Audi US dollar has got a similar structure as well. So we're just looking for this corrective structure to play out and then continue to the upside. So when we do the market analysis, we're going to be going into the detail of what this corrective structure looks like, right? So that is Audi yen. Now the Nikkei, now this chart was posted last year, October. Just need to see the date here. This was October on the Nikkei. So since last year, we have been looking for upside on the indices and they have been rallying as forecasted. So this was October when we forecasted that impulsive move, as we know now that the Nikkei has made that impulsive move to the upside And everybody who's tracking the Nikkei, we all know what happened from here after we forecasted this move. So this was the Nikkei, and it has been making a move to the upside. Let's just get that one to load. So this is where we forecasted the Nikkei move. This is where we were, and we've already rallied up to around this level. So it was a very interesting move. So every time there was a corrective structure here, there was an opportunity to enter. So this was an impulsive move on the Nikkei with an extended wave 5. Right. So the NASDAQ as well, we forecasted the NASDAQ when we were still here. We were looking for the NASDAQ to push much higher. Yes, we are recording. We are recording. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben. That helps very much. Right. Right. So this is now the NASDAQ, the chart from October as well. At the same time as the Nikkei, we're expecting a big move to the upside on the NASDAQ. And as you have been trading, if you have been tracking the NASDAQ, you all know what happened from there. So this is the chart that was shared with members in October already. We're still expecting further upside. This is where we were. This is where the forecast was. We've already made this move. Now we're just looking for this to complete this wave 3. Now that is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to do an update shortly, but the indices are simple really. Every time you see a continuation pattern, it's just an opportunity to buy until we see signs of reversal, which we are not seeing at this stage. Bitcoin, this was now just in the last week. So Bitcoin, we're expecting this one to make a move to the downside and then continue to the upside. Is this complete? Is this wave complete on Bitcoin? Look out for the cryptocurrency webinar shortly after this, where we're going to be going into the detail of what we expect of the cryptocurrencies. Right, so those that have been watching, I'm not going to go into the detail of this one. So there's 2 ways that this could play out. We could be done with this correction, and then I'll show you the other possibility on the next webinar. If you're only specifically interested in the cryptocurrencies, you can check out the next video. So this was Bitcoin. We have, if you've been tracking, you already know that we've made this drop and we started making this move around this area. But that is not confirmation that it's going to go all the way. We're going to be watching that in the next webinar. Right, so this is how it has played out. We're just showing you the drop and then the move to the upside. So this is the possibility that we can still have one more down before we push to the upside on Bitcoin. There's a number of ways that this can play out. We're going to be watching that as well. So Ethereum, we just showed the latest one here, but on our in our group, we focused that we're going to have this move to the upside. We actually expected that this was going to push to the upside, but we only got a push up to this level. But then we can see that it is actually making a flat. Then we're going to be looking for this to continue pushing to the upside. Not a flat, rather a diagonal here. And then we're going to be expecting a pullback here in wave 2. If this is the end of the move, we're going to be looking for that to continue higher. That is Ethereum, and that is how it has played out. A pullback here. Are we going to get a setup here for entry in the next week for upside? Look out for the crypto webinar shortly after this. So that's what we've been busy with in the last week. Those are the forecasts from the last week. Let's get into this week and see what we expect of the market. Right, let's get started. We're going to start with the DXY and the Euro. First, to look at how we saw the market, or how we forecasted the market last week, and how it played out, and what to expect going forward. Right, so last week, if you check out the videos from last week, so this was the analysis. So we were expecting a pullback at current levels. This is the pullback now. Is this the pullback, or is this going? So we were here last week, and we expected that this is what I showed you last week. Let's put back 2 charts like this, the DXY and the Euro. So this was what looked like a 3-wave move. We said we're expecting, it could have been a 3-wave move, or it could be a 5-wave move, but you cannot confirm that as you couldn't confirm that as yet. So we're waiting for this one to make a pullback here. Is this a pullback, or is this a first wave of the last one to the downside? Are we going to get this pullback and this one continue to the downside? Looks likely that that is what we're going to get. Let me bring the Euro as well. So the Euro should be the opposite or the inverse of what the DXY is doing. So this is what we have on the Euro. This is the Euro. Let's just have a look here. So on the Euro, we had this pulsing move, which is a pulsing move. It was clear on the Euro that this was a pulsing move. It has 5 waves. So we expected that this was going to pull back here. So this is what we showed last week, that we're going to have this pullback. That's why you couldn't just go and sell the Euro. Is this the pullback, or is the euro playing out this structure here? And if it is playing out this structure, that means it's playing an expanding flat, and the euro is ready for continuation to the upside. And that is what we are now expecting, looking at what the indicator and the volumes are showing us, that the euro will continue to the upside and the DXY will continue to the downside. And we're going to be looking for this to play out the structure. We've had the pullback in 3 waves here. That is the zigzag. We've got a pullback here in 3 waves, which is an expanding flat. And then we're expecting this to continue to the downside. And that is the euro and the DXY. So that is the difference between the two. Okay, so that's what we're going to be expecting strength in the euro. It needs to be confirmed. So if we get an entry on the euro, here, we're going to be taking that move, and then we're going to be looking to break it even there and let it run. Right, so why are we expecting that on the euro? Because we are looking at this whole move as a wave 5. This whole move as the last bit of a wave 5. To see which wave 5 we're talking about, you can look at the previous video. So 1, 2, 3, and looking at this expanding flat as a 4, and looking for the last wave 5 to play out. Let me show you the daily just to show you the structure of the euro, or we can even look at the weekly, just the structure. Now, if you look at the euro, this is not a chart that you want to sell at this stage. Right, so how are we looking at the euro just want to show you the bigger structure here. So if you look at the euro, this has been a corrective structure from 2007 up until around 2016, 17. Now, how are we looking at this structure? We're looking at it as follows. There's a double correction here that we're looking at. So this is a move to the downside. This is actually 5 waves. It's clear 5 waves with a wave 4 here and the last bit of a 5 here. So from here, we also started with a 5-wave move here. Then we've got a corrective structure here with an extended wave C there. So wave C is a bit longer than the wave A here. It's actually a 5-wave move. It's actually an ABC structure, not a double XY. So that is the structure that we're looking at on the euro. So it's 3 waves to the downside here. Now looks like we are making another 3 waves here. Okay, let's just look at this here. I'm going to show you the explanation that it's this similar. I'm going to give you an explanation that I did with gold. It's similar to that as well. So now if this is the euro and this structure is not done, so let me just put this one back up here. This is on the weekly now. So we're expecting the euro to keep going to complete this structure. Now, if we look at this structure here, it looks much bigger than this one. So the euro could only be here. This corrective structure could only be the first leg of another corrective structure here to make a move to the upside like that. But we're not worried about this as yet. So what we have now is a bigger structure showing us that the euro is making a push to the upside. Let's just put that back. So if that is going to be the case, that means we're going to have a bigger one here, which is 3 waves here. That is a bigger W. And you're going to have a bigger wave here, which is going to be an X. So even if it's going up here, we may be going up correctively. As you've seen here, we've made a pulsing move here from around 2017, 18, and then we've made a corrective structure, and now we are on an impulse. Okay, so we're looking at this lower degree here as an ABC corrective structure. Let's put that one as ABC. So this can actually be the lower degree here, ABC. So that's why we're looking at the euro. We're looking at this as 5 waves. These are 5 waves. So I'm going to go to this leg again. I'm giving you a bit more detail. Let's go to the daily, so you can see where that 5 waves comes from. We don't just take a string and start putting in the numbers. So the numbers are secondary. What's important is the structure. If you understand the structure, then wave counting comes secondary. Members in the group know that I don't even like the word or the term wave count, because that is just labeling. Right, so let's have a look here. So the structure here, it's clear impulse. If it's 5 waves, we're going to label it accordingly. And I'm only showing you the higher degree. I'm not going to go into the lower degrees. Otherwise, we're going to spend the whole day here. Just getting to sort my annotation tool here. So we've got 1, we've got 2 here, we've got 3, we've got 4 here. And this is the 5 that I was showing you earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5. So that is what we're looking at as a wave 5. Now, if we're going to put in something as a wave 1, 2, 3, it must also have the similar number of waves in the lower degree as well. So if this is a wave 5, wave 3, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, extended wave 5, and a pullback here. Now we're looking at this one. Now, what if this structure, the sequence, what if you are wrong about the sequence here to the upside? What if you are wrong and this has actually completed? Because you're looking at this with the naked eye. That's why you need the indicator to confirm the actual reversal here. As far as we have here, the indicator is still showing us that we're going to have one more up. One of the rules that most people don't know is that if you're going to have a reversal is that you need to have a divergence between waves 3 and 4. So that's what we're going to be looking at, divergence between 3 and 4. If that divergence does not come, then this is going to be, this has possibly ended, and we're going to start looking at this pullback that we expected last week to start being the move to the downside for a deeper correction on the euro. Let's load it up again. This can then be a move for a deeper correction on the euro. That is if you don't get that confirmation. Right, so you need to have the alternatives. So that's what we're looking at on the euro. Pound US dollar, we're still expecting a push to the upside. Let's have a look at pound US dollar. Bigger structure. There's an 11 swing sequence here on the pound US dollar. Let's have a look at it. Let's load it up. Okay, so I've shown this one a number of times. We've got this. There are no 5 waves here. Yes, it is 5 waves, but not 5 waves corrective. If you look at this here, you've got a wave. Let's show you a different color here. You've got 3 waves up, 3 waves back. You've got 3 waves up. You've got 3 waves back, and you've got 3 waves up. We're looking for this one to complete these 3 waves. So at any point, pound US dollar can start the pullback here. Now, why do we say that this is not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It is not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because here you've got 3 waves. You've got a passing move and 3 waves. 3 waves pullback. I'm not going to put that one on. You've got 3 waves here as well. You've got 3 waves here as well. You've got what looks like 3 waves. Is this the 3 waves here? So it's still a bit tricky here because you could be having this one as 3 waves running flat there, and it's going to be doing this. That's why we're still expecting maybe a bit of a push. One last move to the upside on pound US dollar before we push to the downside. So don't be too quick to buy or sell this one here just because you see a small impulse to the downside. May not be likely. And I'm going to show you what the whole structure is here. Here I'm just showing you the bigger structure. So W, X, Y, X, and a Z. That is the sequence that we're looking at. So maybe still a bit of a push to the upside. Confirms by the indicator. We'll see the reversal there, and then we're going to start taking that to the downside. Let's look at the whole structure here. Let's look at it on the daily, giving a bit more information here. So on the daily, what you're looking at is this whole structure. You've got this as 3 waves to the upside, the 3 waves pullback, and we're looking at this one here. It's a WXY corrective structure here. That is what we're looking at here. Here you've got a 11 sequence that is 5 waves corrective. Right. So that is what we have on pound US dollar. Let's look at the rest. US dollar year chief. Let's have a look at US dollar chief. Let's go now to the lower degrees. So US dollar chief is similar to the DXY. When it made this push to the upside here, we're expecting this one to be a flat and push to the upside and still continue to the downside. Looks like we're not going to get this push to the upside, but let's see how this plays out. So if we start getting a corrective structure here, this is going to follow the DXY to the downside. It's going to support the fact that we're forecasting the DXY to the downside on US dollar chief. Right, so let's watch how US dollar chief plays out. US dollar CAD has made an impulsive move to the upside. So US dollar CAD, I've been saying for weeks that you don't buy US dollar CAD. That's also obviously based on my trading style. I take long-term trades, swing trades. So anything that is against the trend, I usually just ignore and wait for them to correct and continue in the direction of the trend. So US dollar CAD, we can see that there's a pullback and it looks like it's making a diagonal there. Let's have a look at that chart here. So that is what we have. This chart was, so this is the latest update. So we're looking at this one as actually an impulse. There is an impulse. There's no question about it. This is not a corrective structure. It's an impulse. So the thing is, when you look at your structures. Do not force principles that are not there. If it is impulsive, you can see it with your naked eye that this is an impulse. If it's corrective, you can see that it is corrective, right? So if you're wrong, then the indicator should verify or disqualify your assumptions. Right, so here, we could be getting this one as a wave 5 here. This pullback, the wave 5, as you can see, is a bit exaggerated to the downside here. It's a bit exaggerated. So this wave 5 could actually end as a diagonal around these levels and we start getting the pullback. Okay, so I've shown the bigger structure. You can watch the previous videos. So there are timestamps on previous videos on USDCAD, so you can see what we expect on the monthly. This is even if we do see a pullback in 3 waves here, this is still going to continue to the downside because the long-term view, I just have to show you. I want you to see, which we have explained this in previous videos as well. It's a very clear structure. It is 3 waves down, it is 3 waves up, and we're looking for an impulsive move to the downside. If it makes a deeper one here, it just slightly makes a bit of a difference in the structure, but the bias will still be the same. Then we'll update the structure. Okay, so that is what we're looking at on USDCAD. We are here on the weekly. This is an impulse. You don't want to be buying against this trend. It has been dropping since the beginning of April 2020. So you don't buy USDCAD at this stage. AUDUSD, look at that impulse on the weekly. Would you sell a market like this? Would you sell a market like this? Yes, and if you go to the 4-hour, as you will see, it looks like it is a sell opportunity. But what we are looking for here in the lower degree is for this to continue to the upside. As you can see, this one from the so-called crash in the beginning of 2020, was largely due to the pandemic issues that were happening at that stage. There was a big drop, but since then, the market has been on a trend. And this looks like an impulse when you look at it with the naked eye. I know 3 waves there, so we label it like that. So I know there are a lot of people that after watching my videos, they see a lot of WXY corrective structures, WXYXZ. Now they go and label everything WXY. Now, if it is WXY, if it is ABC, if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we will label it if the rules and the guidelines confirms accordingly. So it's not just a matter of we now see only WXY, we now see this, we see what the structure gives us. So let's go to the 1 hour so okay, you can see what I mean by that. On the weekly, what did you see? You saw this one pushing to the upside with an impulse. So what is essentially happening here is simply that we are making a corrective structure. Now, if you master the understanding of the corrective structures, how these corrective structures play out, then you will know when the corrective structures are going to end. And when they end, that's when you resume the impulsive moves. Okay, so at this stage here, let's have a look at this corrective structure. So we've started with 3 waves down here. We've got 3 waves up here. It looks like we've got another move to the upside here. So we may still get another corrective structure here like this. So for now, we're going to take it 1 wave at a time. We're going to take it down to around this level. So we're going to expect another pullback here. When this is done, even if it's going to make a double correction, possibly like that, we're not saying that's what it's going to do. WXY corrective structure. When it is done, all indications, the sequence will tell us, and then we'll be looking to take that trade. Now, if you are trading here, you possibly bought here, it goes up, it takes you out. Say you buy here, it takes you out. Say you sell here, it comes down. And then if it's going to come back up, it's going to take your sell trade out here. So that's why you don't want to trade within the corrective structure. You wait for the corrective structures to play out, and then you look for the move to the upside. Like that. That's how we're going to be looking at that. New Zealand US dollar also correcting. The difference between AUDUSD and New Zealand US dollar is that New Zealand US dollar is correcting with a zigzag, and AUDUSD is correcting with a flat. Okay, so now we've got a 3-wave pullback. We've got an impulse. Is this going to result in this one pushing to the upside now? Watch out for this. If we get confirmation for upside here, there may be a trade here. Otherwise, we may still push a little bit lower before we push to the upside. So there can be that correlation between Audi and New Zealand. US dollars are very interesting. We have been looking for this one to pull back from the time it made an impulsive move here. So now this is the trick, and this is how people lose money when trading waves. So let's say you've got a pulsing move. There are those that are only looking at the structure and not looking at the sequence. Sequence is important because you need to know how many steps, how many waves are left. So you've got an impulse. Some are going to be looking to trade when they get a corrective structure. So there was a corrective structure here in 3 waves. And this looked like it was going to be a move to the upside. There are people who bought here looking for this to continue to the upside. What happens? It didn't go. Instead, what does it do? It makes a double correction. Okay? Now, if you've got a double correction, we're making an impulsive move to the upside here. If you're going to get a confirmation for a move to the upside, we're going to sell the South African rand against the US dollar, and we're going to get this trade. But there's always this possibility. What if it goes, get a flat, it comes down, and then it pushes to the upside? How do you manage these situations? These are some of the things that we cover in the course. Trade management. You need to be able to manage the trade because this is how the market moves. It is unpredictable. You need to have structure and sequence, and you need to have the indicator to confirm. You cannot just trade only this with the naked eye. There was someone that was complaining about wave counting. Imagine having to count this computer-generated chart only with your naked eye, without any other tool. What are the chances of being wrong? The chances of being wrong here are almost 60 to 70% because somebody can come and say here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Somebody can come and say, count the same thing. I'm counting the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and count an extended wave 5. Or somebody can come and say, no, I actually don't see an impulse. I'm seeing 5 waves up, a correction here, and a 5 waves to the upside. So I'm looking at this and saying ABC. Now, who is right? Neither, who's right, who's wrong? Neither of them could be right or wrong. You just need to get the right tool to be able to dissect what is happening here and the right structure. So it's always easy. It always makes sense to look at the bigger structure because when you look at the smaller degrees, you don't necessarily have enough data to look at this. So this is a sad reality. It is. How do you count this? That is why there's always this narrative that if you put 5 Elliott waves on the same chart, they'll come up with 5 different wave counts. And if that is the case, then the Elliott wave theory cannot be accurate. So what we do with the course, we put in rules and guidelines that are consistent for everyone so that if I come and put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, somebody who understands the structure the way we have put in the rules and the guideline can come and say, no, this is wrong. But currently the narrative is that you cannot tell another waver that they are wrong with their wave count because they're seeing it their view, they've got it their alternative. But if you're going to trade and you've got 5 different alternatives, how the hell are you going to make money? Because you need something that is definite, that is structured. So that is what we provide, a structure for the traders. Right, and once you've got that structure, you cannot attend any other course because you've got all that course to always refer to and the structure to always refer to. Pound yen, let's have a look at the structure on pound yen. Let's go back to the 4 hour. Now, I'm just going to look at the last string here, but obviously the structure comes not only just from this, it is a bigger structure. I'm just looking at the current structure here. So we've got 3 waves here. We've got a correction in 3 waves here. And we're looking for this one to make a move to the upside. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, there's a possibility that we are making another 1, 2, and the 3, and that will complete that structure. Okay, so that is what we're looking at on pound yen. Look out for a possible push to the upside, maybe a pull back here, and then upside. So we just need to understand this structure here on pound US dollar. Very likely that at this structural level, you can see a deeper pullback on pound yen. Looks like it's pushing to the upside with the rest of the pound pairs. Just to complete that, then we're going to be looking for this. And then that means that this is the structure. Look at the yellow. Look at the yellow. That is a WXY corrective structure. There are no 5 waves there. that is pound yen. Look out for a continuation to the upside. Those that remember, we focused at pound yen around this level last year for it to drop and continue to the upside. That is what we focused it. But we have focused it the drop here. It drops, it makes a push to the upside here, it dropped again. How do you manage that? So this is what we're looking at this structure as. It's a move down, it's a complex structure there, and a move down. So that means you've got three waves here in the middle. That's your B is a flat correction, giving a bit of free education. And then we're looking for this one to continue to the upside. So that's three waves up, three waves back, and then we're looking for three waves up. That is pound yen, US dollar yen. US dollar yen is a bit tricky. We're looking for mostly upside on the yen pairs in the coming week. This needs to be confirmed. Yes, you can see a passing move. Yes, you can see what looks like a corrective structure. There isn't enough volumes. This may be supported by the fact that the other yen pairs are looking upside as it relates to euro yen and CHF yen. We're looking a bit upside in the coming week. So I'll show the two alternatives there on euro and CHF. So if you're looking at this one here, the volumes are pretty low for this one to just push up higher like that, even though we've got a corrective structure. So the possibilities are that even if we've got this, we may be looking at this structure, a move here, this one is flat here, running, and a move down before we make a push to the upside. So we're going to be looking for that. This, possibly one more down, and then upside. Otherwise, we need to see a correction at current levels. We need to see the volumes pick up for this to make a push to the upside. But as far as the euro is concerned, the euro does not have the clearest of structures compared to CHF. These are the euro and CHF are directly correlated, but let's look at the CHF because the CHF yen is a lot clearer than the euro because CHF is showing us a clear 1, 2, 3 waves down, 1, 2, 3 waves up, and 1, 2, 3 waves to the downside, a clear corrective structure here, WXY corrective structure with all 3 waves. And after that, it made a passing move to the upside. Now, if we are going to start seeing a corrective structure around these levels, we are going to see CHF push to the upside. It's got a clearer structure than the euro, although there may be a possibility for a euro to drop, but we're expecting that CHF yen and euro yen will move together because we've got this clear structure on CHF yen. We have been looking initially for CHF yen to play out this structure and euro yen in the bigger degree, 1, 2, 3, and then give us this bigger structure in the flat in the bigger on the bigger degree. But what has happened? We did not get this move. Instead, it just went sideways. You know, it's going sideways. It's making a continuation pattern. If it makes a continuation pattern, we break above this level. That means this level, this is the invalidation level. If we push up higher than this, that means that that view to the downside is invalidated and we're going to push to the upside. That means that this was all the correction. You see what that has done? Similar to what the euro has done. Euro yen, if you remember, not euro yen dollar, euro US dollar. If you remember euro US dollar, the same thing has happened here with 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and another 3 waves down here. We're expecting one more down here so we can have a structure like this. So we're expecting 3 waves down here, 3 waves up here, 1. When it made this pullback, we expect, it actually made this one here that you could not see here. So it's 3, 3, 3. So we're still expecting a bigger one so that it can be similar to that. It didn't happen. And then eventually we made a push to the upside. Euro yen or CHF yen may be lagging this, and we may be getting a similar move here. We may be getting a continuation pattern here. This is where we are currently on the yen, on CHF yen and euro yen, except on CHF yen, we are making a flat, this a regular flat, and this one we're making an expanding flat, and we could be looking for this. So let's watch the two in the coming week. Okay. Right, so that is what we're looking at on euro, US dollar, CHF yen, euro yen. Let's have a look at that. Did I look at euro yen? So euro yen does not have the clearest structure here. So there's also a possibility for this one to be making a corrective structure, but this is just too impulsive for this to be a correction and then push to the downside like this. But we're going to be watching it. So the downside view will be valid in the higher degree if we are looking at this. If we're looking at this like this, or if we're looking at it like this. But looking at how the euro US dollar has played out and has made a bigger impulsive move to the upside, we're expecting that this will also continue to the upside and follow chief yen. Right, let's run through the rest of the yen pairs. CAD yen. CAD yen, continuation to the upside. Is it ready for a pullback? Let's have a look. On the daily, we're still expecting a bit of a push to the upside, but at some point we're going to need to start seeing this one pull back. Not reverse, but pull back after the 3 waves or go sideways. So that is on the daily. On the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we could be making this continuation pattern here and we still push to the upside. It's going up very correctively, so watch out for that. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen is showing some strength. We've got a 3-wave pullback. Let's make it bigger. We've got a 3-wave pullback similar to what we've seen with the New Zealand US dollar. 1, 2, 3, zigzag pullback. We've made an impulsive move to the upside. And we're going to start seeing this one make a push to the upside. Let's see how this plays out. Audi. Audi has also made a 3-wave zigzag to the downside, but this one does not look so strong to the upside. We've got a move in 3 waves to the upside. Looks like we may do this before we make a push to the upside. So we're going to be watching this, maybe still more sideways for Audi before taking off. Gold. So similar to Euro US dollar last week, gold, we had made a pulsing move to the downside. You can see that it was 5 waves to the downside. So we expected a pullback. So far, we've got a lower degree pullback in 3. 1, 2, 3. We've got 1, 2, and 3. That is the expectation. Maybe another push to the upside here before we drop. Watch previous videos on gold to see why we're expecting further downside on gold. That's simply because we're looking at this 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and this one is another 3 waves down. And this 3 waves down is a flat. This 3 waves down is a zigzag with a triangle in the middle. It's a zigzag with a triangle like that. So the structure on gold is W, X, and a flat Y. So whatever we get here, we're going to be looking to complete this move. That is gold. Silver, similar. Silver, we've got 3 waves down. We've got 3 waves down here. We've got 3 waves up. We are looking for a similar structure to the downside. Where those 3 waves, this is 1, 2, 3. This is 1 flat here and a 3. Now we're looking for 1, 2, whatever it happens here, and then a move to the downside. That would be a WXY corrective structure, and this should resume a move to the upside. So that's what we're looking at here, but still a bit of a push to the upside here. Not done yet. That is silver and gold. Brent crude. Let's look at Brent crude. Brent crude oil. Right, so Brent crude oil, the target is still 60. We are currently going sideways. We've made 3 waves down. We're going to make another 3 waves here. Make 1 down, and then we go. That is what we're expecting here. This is going sideways. It's making a double correction there. WXY corrective structure, and then we'll be looking for upside. All right, so that is Brent crude. Pound chief, let's look at the pound pairs now. Now, pound chief, we're looking for this one to continue to the upside and then a move to the downside. Last week, I showed you the weekly charts on the pound on the pound pairs and what we're expecting. If you look at the daily on this one, showing you again, If you look at the daily on pound chief, it's just a matter of time before this one takes off for an impulsive move to the upside. The question is whether this corrective structure is done and are we ready to make a push to the upside. On the weekly, this is the structure. Let me show you the weekly structure. So you can see why we're expecting a push to the upside there. Let's switch on the labeling here. So that is the weekly structure on pound chief. So pound chief, we've made an impulse here. I'm only showing you the last bit of the corrective structure there. I'm gonna get the blue color here. We're seeing 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and these as 3 waves down. Now, if that is complete, we need to start seeing this push to the upside. We are currently here. It's just a matter of time before this takes off. Now, before that takes off, remember we're on the weekly chart here. A drop like this is worth 400 pips. Are we gonna get a drop like that before we resume and move to the upside? Let's go to the 4-hour and see if that drop is possible. 4-hour. Now, if you look at the 4-hour, let's switch off. What are the daily? Let's look at the daily. 4-hour is not showing us the whole structure. So on the 4-hour, we've got an impulsive move to the upside. We could be getting here 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and this one is 3 waves to the downside, as having made a running flat and this being ready for the push to the upside. So if you get a buy set up here, confirmed by the indicator, you're gonna get a move that's worth over 1,000 pips to the upside. Otherwise, if the structure is as follows, this is 3 waves down here, and this is 1, 2, 3 flat. You can still get 1 more down and then upside. So that will be A, B, C with a flat B, with a complex B, C. This C drop is about 400 pips. If it drops 400 pips, that means it's going to be over 1,400 pips to the forecasted area to the upside here on pound chief. So let's watch this level for either confirmation for this to break out of the current corrective structure. Is it complete or is it going to make 1 more down? It's going to be very critical to look at it. Pound CAD also very looking interesting in the lower degree even. So the lower degree on pound CAD, check out the weekly views that I showed last week to understand what would happen in this lower degree. So we've got a passing move to the, it's actually 3-wave move to the upside on pound CAD. Now we've got what looks like 3 waves down here, and we've got what looks like another 3 waves to the upside. Now, if this is the case, pound CAD can drop 1 more before we resume to the upside. So watch out for this one, because this could be a WXY corrective structure, and then we resume upside. Otherwise, if you don't get the drop here, we're going to get a confirmation for upside. The indicator will show that. Continuing to the upside. Pound Audi. Pound Audi, you saw the forecast on Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand, we had a similar structure like this, exactly the structure like this one. That's on Pound Audi. That we focused that it was going to go and retest that level. It has already done so. Now, Pound Audi is doing the same thing, but in 3 waves. Could be pushing up here like that first before we continue to the downside. Long-term pound Audi is bearish. So look out for a continuation to the upside here. It is making an A, B, C corrective structure. So a bit of an impulse to around that area before resuming a move to the downside. Pound New Zealand, you've already seen this one on the forecast. We forecasted this one from here, from around 86 to around 90, over 400 pips to the upside has played out. Now we're looking for this one. Come down here, look for this corrective structure for continuation to the downside. That is Pound New Zealand, Euro Pound. We've already looked at Euro Pound. We also forecasted this one from here at the top to around this level. It has already played out. Now, is this the end of the move? Are we going to start seeing the bounce? Or are we going to see 1 more down first before we make a move to the upside? So this may not be over. So if you're going to see 1 more down, then you're going to see that slight push to the upside on the pound pairs. By pound pairs, I'm referring to those that have got the pound as the base pair. And this one has got Euro pound has got the pound as the quoted pair. Okay, so obviously those that have got the base pair when there's the strength in the pound, we're going to see some strength in this pair. And we're going to see, if you're going to see one more down here, it's going to be like this. When that one more down of 400 pips on pound chip happens, if it happens, we're going to then see this one resume higher. We're going to see this one resume higher. That is how correlation works. Right, so Euro Audi bearish long term, short term, we're pulling back. And we're going to start seeing this one continue to the downside from here. Let's watch out for that on Euro Audi. Otherwise, this could still be a deeper corrective structure, but long term, this is bearish. So we can get this one as 3 waves up, we can get another 3 waves and another 3 waves here, then we drop like that. Long term bearish, whatever pullback is an opportunity to sell. Euro New Zealand, the same, long term bearish. This one, just looking at the indicator, is telling us that it can actually continue lower from that current level, even without any looking at the structure. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Let's check out this one in the next week. Euro New Zealand, EURCAD. EURCAD, very interesting structure. Let's have a look at this whole structure on EURCAD. EURCAD, look out for this. Why? Look out for this. This will be a trade for the next coming sessions. Now let's show why. While that loads. Now if you look at the why, let's look at the daily first. Could be the trade of the week. Look out for that one. If you look at that one, you can see that we've made a pulsing move here. We've made a corrective structure. This correction here may be over. We're seeing a pulsing move here. We're going to start seeing something like this. So if we get a confirmation for upside, take it at least back to this level. Back to about 600, which is about 500, 600 pips from current levels. And if you look at the 4 hour, you'll see that the 4 hour has got 3 waves down here, 3 waves up, and we're gonna look at this one as another move. Sorry, this is not like that. Let's show it back. So move down here, this is a flat, expanding flat. That's why this could be complete. Looks like a complete structure. We're seeing a pulsing move here, could be coming back around this level. Let's look at it on the lower degree 4 hour. So the 4 hour, we've got a very nice impulse. This is the flat. All 3 waves here, all 3 waves there. So that is a W, that is a X, that is a, no, yes, it will be, no. This will be ABC corrective structure. It's a flat as well. We're looking at the bigger structure as a flat, regular flat in this case. And in this case here, we're going to have this one as a lower degree, WXY. Right, now we're looking for this one. After the correction, we're looking for this one to start pushing higher. Look out for that in the next coming sessions. EUROCHF. EUROCHF is still showing weakness. This looks like a sideways move, and it will still continue to the downside. No signs of reversal there on EUROCHF. Let's look at the crosses. Audi New Zealand. We're having a deeper pullback. We've had a pulsing move here. Look out for this pullback. It can either be a zigzag or it can be any of the corrective structures. It can be a flat as well. Otherwise, when that is done, we're going to look for upside. AUDJPY. So I have been showing the same thing on the crosses, that we need to see upside. Last week on AUDJPY, this is where we were. We were here on AUDJPY last week, and we expected this to just continue to the downside just because the indicator was showing us so. But you can see that we just come down here and then we made a corrective structure. So we're at the same point as we were last week. So this one can still make another one more down here on AUDJPY before any move to the upside. AUDJPY. We're seeing some short-term weakness on the Audi, so this one can do that. Bit of a pullback to the pullback to the downside. Look out for the first webinar of the year to see what we expect of the crosses. There's been said the same thing since. Just for them, especially the Audi pairs, to continue to the upside. Any pullback is an opportunity to ride onto the trend. This looks like a running flat, and we're going to start pushing to the upside here. New Zealand still looking strong here. New Zealand Chief. New Zealand Chief sideways here. We've got 3 waves down. We've got a pulse move. We could be coming down here to make a corrective structure like that. Sideways at this stage. CAD Chief. So CAD Chief, we're expecting downside. We're expecting downside, and I'll show you the structure on CAD Chief. It's got one of the clearest structures compared to the others. We're expecting downside. Why are we expecting downside? Let's look at this structure here on the daily. We discussed this one in detail in the week. Now, CAD Chief has got a potential to even come down to this level. Okay, let alone this. Okay, let's leave this one alone. This level is good enough for a trade setup to the downside. That's about, let's see here how many pips that is. How big is that view? From current level to this level, it's about 350 pips. So if you get a setup here, you can take it back to this level. But the possibility is that we can even get to around this level for about 500 pips. So now any pullback you can get. So this is this is a 3-way move, or rather an impulsive move to the upside. We've got another impulsive move to the downside. This has been the corrective structure. And this corrective structure, let's mark it with a different color. 1, 2, 3. Now, if that is done, we are looking for this. So look out for this. Any pullback, this is what is happening now currently. Any pullback, it's an opportunity to sell it. First target, second target. After which, bigger structure continues to the downside. That is CAD Chief, and that's all on the Forex pairs. The indices, let's have a look at the indices. Looking at the indices, there's really nothing new I'm going to talk about here. I've been saying the same thing since the beginning of the year, that every time you get an opportunity to buy the indices, every time you get a corrective structure, it's an opportunity to buy on the indices. So this is the S&P 500. We were here last week. We have broken out of this corrective structure. We've broken out here. And now we're making another one. Push to the upside. So expect a continuation to the upside. Let's look at the structure. I'll show the S&P 500 because and then the rest will be similar. Let's look at the indices. You saw how we forecasted the NASDAQ, how we forecasted the NIKKIE. It is still the same structure. We're still expecting it to complete the same structure. This chart, okay, this is actually the latest update. So we're still expecting continuation to the upside for that wave 5. Those that have been following us for a while, if you go exactly at the point where the market was here, there was a week where we were here on a Sunday and we were looking for this one to be a flat and for this to go for a wave 5. So just go to a date, get the date here, get the webinars at that specific date, and you'll see that the forecast was for this to do that. And every time we get continuation patterns, that was an opportunity to buy, and it's happening again there. And that is how the S&P 500 keeps pushing up higher. Since the beginning of the year, we've been looking at this corrective structure, has pushed up higher. It's doing exactly the same thing. So it should be easy trading. So you should keep getting them right until you get one wrong. Then you'll see that there's a possibility for a reversal there. Dow will be similar. I'm going to go straight to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is already broken out of this corrective structure here. From the beginning of this year, it's making another one. Continuation to the upside. Structure is similar. We're looking for that wave 5 that started from here. Okay, so that is the NASDAQ. And the UK 100, those that have been following know that we've tracked the UK 100 from when it was still in this bigger corrective structure. It was a spot on trade. When we were still here, we forecasted this move here. We're looking at this as 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and we forecasted 1 and this move that is currently happening. Is this the end of the move on the UK 100? And I'm going to start seeing a deeper corrective structure. Let's delve in a little bit closer. But this still looks like a corrective structure. So the UK 100 looks like it's still gonna push to the upside after this correction is done. DAX, continuation to the upside as well. Let's show you the DAX structure. For the DAX, let's see, latest chart, but similar to the others, the DAX, we had forecasted this three-wave pullback here, and that this was going to make a move to the upside. We're currently making another correction here. We should see continuation to the upside on the DAX as well. And lastly, the Nikkei. Nikkei, you've seen the trade setup right when we started the video. This was the forecast on the Nikkei. We are now already here. You can count how many points we focused on. We still expect the Nikkei to push higher with that impulse to complete the wave 5. And lastly, we've got the Nifty. It's not listed on, it's not one of the listed instruments, but we analyze it here. We're looking at another continuation pattern. It's gonna push to the upside still. That's all for this week, guys. Please hit the subscribe button or click the notification button so that you get an alert when we post another video. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great week. Trade responsibly. Cheers. Bye-bye.